Give it a try. Are we live? We on, Rick? Turn it up. We good? We good enough to say Team Beamer and get a big cheer out of all these people here? With that reaction, we must not be loud enough because that was really weak. That was better, Greg.
I think so.
So, Greg, you and I first met out at the World 24-Hour Time Trial Championships, and well, I saw you out here with Beamer before, but you had a tent set up, came back, wanted to get a record. Anything can happen, but looks like we are going to get another record. Tell us about what it was like this year.
Slightly tiring. Didn't have a chance to shave or shower, which I'm sure a few of you have already witnessed if you were downwind. But there was a lot of things thrown at us. We did have great weather, but one of our vehicles, vehicle number one, even though we prepared it properly with all the electrical, the whole bit, they were charging so many things inside of it that the alternator could not keep up, nor the battery system. And so when it started going down, we were in trouble. However, Ken Kramer, my partner in crime in all of this, we'd already planned ahead, and that's why we had not only van 2, but van 3, and then our media van was also considered a backup, so it could be drawn into the mix if something happened to another van. So,
It sounds like your vehicle needed a Beamer.
most definitely. Or make it a Beamer. There you go.
So the team had some really lofty goals, and what was the atmosphere like among the crew and the riders? Because, I mean, everybody was pushing themselves to the max, and I mean everybody.
You know, it's amazing when you get a bunch of different people together that have never met each other before, and you think you know their personalities, but then you get a couple days of sleep deprivation in there, and things can change slightly. However, we had the time before the race started to get to know the personalities as we gathered and were preparing the vehicles, and we made some last-minute changes, and it turned out to be ideal. And Ken Kramer, I owe all of that to him because he read the personalities, and we put the people in the right positions. And in doing so, it became a stellar crew, and everybody stepped up to the plate, not only with the skills they had, but when you have a bunch of people that are already well-established athletes and they're used to being leaders, to be able to step back and take that secondary role can be very difficult and sometimes work on egos. Our people didn't have that. They stepped into the positions, they rocked it. I mean, they did everything possible, and it was a true example of really the Beamer and the Beamer family. Because here, we're all individuals, we all have our specialties, and yet we're given the information, we follow what it needs to be done to be able to share Beamer with people, and we change lives. And this was my dream, and you guys were a part of it.
And I think it was a lot of people's dream this year.
We had a lot of dreams going. We wanted to break a record. We initially wanted to break the 5-day record with this, but you guys seemed to throw a couple detours in there, which one included nice white gravel and a lot of dust, so the nice clean bikes are not clean any longer. Yeah, so we did a lot of emergency chain cleaning and a lot of chain lube, but we got through that part.
It did shorten the course by 7 miles.
You shortened it, but I heard that you guys added some extra miles there too. Really? Oh,
It's 7 miles shorter.
it's 7 miles shorter, so I'm sure we'll adjust things accordingly then. But no, everybody stepped to the plate. All the riders. It was funny. I was talking with Chris DeMarchi, and Chris was asking his wife, or his wife was really pushing the limits on him and asking him, okay, who's the weakest link? And she was pushing the buttons because she was wanting him to admit that he was probably going to be the weakest link because everybody was strong. There was no weak area. And thanks to Beamer and Evan over here that we have, and those guys were helping us get Beamers in all the hands of those who still didn't have them well before the race started, like 6 months before. So all our riders were using them, and they were experiencing things even before the race on how it was improving their performance and their ability to rest, recover, the regeneration aspect. And so they were excited to really test their limits, and they took it to a whole new level.
So, Greg, what's it like for you? We're all here waiting for the team to arrive. You've been in this race this whole time, and they sent you ahead. Is it tough not being there as they cross the line, just personally?
It is, but they're carrying the torch. Those guys deserve it. Every single rider, when they got done with their 12-hour shift, I would see them walk to the motorhome when we went to pick them up, and you could just see that daze in their eyes, like they were not able to focus very much because they literally put everything on the line every 12-hour shift that they did, and they were doing 15-minute pulls. And it was crazy what they were doing. Going up the hills on Wolf Creek Pass, they were going 20 miles an hour, uphill, on a mountain, at elevation.
And yes, that's insane for the riders, and I know that from personal experience. And I don't like it when someone says, oh, it's a lot easier to ride than it. No, it's not. But it's really tough to crew, and when you're trying to make this work like clockwork, and you're having to make changes that fast, I mean, the crew can mess that up so much for the riders. That had to be really wearing on you guys.
It gets really tiring. However, everybody had their position. And thank God for Ursula in the back. She organized Ashley and organized Patty, and those three were phenomenal in the back as far as preparing meals, organizing things. Ken and I had arranged an eraser board with the magnetic capabilities, so they had the names of all the riders there and what foods they wanted, what time they got up, what time that they were going to be riding, just everything about them. They had things so organized. And then I wanted to give back to them, too, because last time Ursula was stuck in the back of the motorhome the whole time, and she didn't get out to see the world of what was going by. So thank goodness for Tony, our one rider, and he organized everything. So we set up rotations so that he did 8 minutes in the motorhome. They were, or I'm sorry, 8 minutes. I'm thinking 8-minute session, guys, okay? There you go. Yeah, so no, 8 hours in the motorhome. Then they did 8 hours in the media van, being able to watch media being performed. So they got to experience and see the whole race, and then they bedded down for 8 hours. So that was just them. Then we had our guys up front in the front of the motorhome, Phil, myself, and Greg Kerr, who is also our auto mechanic, and we were doing 8-hour rotations, 8 hours driving, 8 hours passenger, 8 hours sleeping. Well, tried to, but as you know, when things get thrown at you, sometimes that gets thrown way off. But we worked really well together. We recognized each other's weaknesses. Hey, I'm better at navigating. You're doing great on driving. Let's have you navigate. It's like, fine. I mean, I love driving, but if this is my stronger point to help here, let's make it happen. And so we did that, which really helped because every 6 hours, all the vehicles, we would bring them together. And at that time is when we would do the switch out of 2 riders out of van 1 into the motorhome for their rest. Although they're doing 12-hour shifts, every 6 hours we were doing a rotation so that with the rotation of 2 riders comes 4 bicycles. So we had crew members doing the bicycles. We had the other individuals helping the riders. And then we planned it in where the motorhome would be staying and parked for about 25 minutes so both riders could shower up and get ready to go, and then we would start down the road. Then the motorhome, we had to worry about fuel. We had to worry about, we could only go about a day on our water tank and then the black water. So we used our KOA app, and then we found different places right on the race route so we could time it and get in there, fill up our water tank again, dump our black water, find a fuel station and make sure we were completely fueled up, and then additional fuel tanks because van number 1 never stopped. And as you know, if you go in the middle of the night, you could go into a gas station and no attendant there and all you have is cash. What am I going to do? So we had it set up where we were refueling with the vehicle right there. So we had extra fuel cans and we were topping off the van 1. It never stopped. It was always on race course, and we only had about 13 minutes because we had what's called a shot clock. Every 15 minutes, we'd be putting down a new rider. So a rider would go down, we would send them off, we would congregate all the vehicles, we'd do the rotation of the riders, rotation of the bikes, rotation of the food for the passenger or the driver and passenger in van one. So there's a lot of coordination going on, and it was amazing.
Greg, you really showed how this is a complete team effort. It's tough on everybody out there. So great job pulling together as a team. I'm thinking the racers are around an hour out right now, but we will be doing updates and everything for people who are watching. Thanks very much for joining us.
Hey, thank you so much, and thanks for the RAM organization to bring all these wonderful people together and the athletes that they serve and allowing dreams to come true, and for athletes from all over the world to see our beautiful country from coast to coast. Sometimes it's a little bit slower, sometimes a little bit faster. Depends on if you're going up or downhill.
Thanks very much, Greg. Come on, let's hear it for Team Beamer.